Hello students, in today's class we will discuss about loop statements in C. What do you mean by loop statements? We have already seen that decision making statements and selection statements. So what do you mean by decision making? That means we have to decide whether to execute a set of statements based on a condition. Okay, we have discussed decision making and selection statements. Now we are going to discuss about decision making and looping statements. How we can iterate among set of steps or statements. So we have sometimes we have some situation to repeat some set of statements repeatedly. So in that cases we can use this loop statements. So in general, that means in the program execution, generally the statements are executed sequentially. That is, the first statement in a program is executed first, then followed by second, and so on. That is line by line execution. There may be situation to execute a block of code several number of times. So a loop statements allows us to execute a statement or group of statements multiple times. So that is the purpose of using loops. So loop statement allows us to execute a statement or group of statements multiple times. So this is the situation that requires loop statements. So here the loop statement, it is used to execute a block of statements or a group of statements to a several number of times or multiple times we are executing same statements. In looping, a sequence of statements are executed until some conditions for termination of the loop are satisfied. That is why we are using this looping. We have to repeat some set of groups of statements. So until where we have to continue the repetition, so we have to give a condition, that condition for termination of the loop. Okay, so in looping, a sequence of statements are executed until some conditions for termination of the loop are satisfied. A program loop therefore consists of two segments. They are body of the loop and other one is known as control statement. So a program loop will consist of two segments. Okay, so a program loop consists of two segments. The first one is body of the loop and next one is control statement. Then control statement, it is a test or a condition. It contains or tests certain conditions and then directs the repeated execution of the statements contained in the body of the loop. So what do you mean by control statement? It is the condition. First we have to check for the repetition of the statements in the body of the loop. So body of the loop will consist of what? It is the set of statements to be executed repeatedly. That is known as body of the loop. Okay, so first we have to check the control statement and it determines, its value will determines whether to repeat the set of statements in the statement, the control statement or looping statements. Okay, so the control statement tests certain conditions and then directs the repeated execution of the statements contained in the body of the loop. So there are mainly two types of loops, entry controlled and exit controlled loops. Depending on the position of control statement in the loop, a control structure may be classified either as the entry controlled loop or as the exit controlled loop. We can see what are they. First one is entry controlled loop. As the name implies, in the entry control loop, the control conditions are tested before the start of the loop execution. Okay, in the entry controlled loop, the control conditions are tested before the start of the loop execution. If the conditions are not satisfied, then the body of the loop will not be executed. Okay, if the conditions are not satisfied, then the body of the loop will not be executed. The entry controlled loop is also known as pre-test loop. Pre-test loop. So what do you mean by entry controlled loop? Here the condition will be checked at the entry of the loop. Okay, after checking the condition, if it is true, then only it will go to the body of the loop, that is entry controlled loop. If the conditions are not satisfied, then the body of the loop will not be executed. Okay, so that is entry controlled loop. We can have two types of entry controlled loops. They are while loop and for loop. Okay, while loop and for loop are examples for entry controlled loop. Okay, first one is while loop and next one for loop. We can see in detail about this while and for loop in the next classes. So we can see the flowchart diagram of this entry controlled loop, how it works. We can see here, this is the entry for the loop statement. Then at the entry it will check whether the condition is true or false. If the condition is true, then body of the loop will be executed and again the control will go to here. Okay, so this is the statement flow or control flow in the case of entry controlled loop. So first it will check the test condition. If it is true, then the body of the loop will be executed and it repeats until the test condition is false. So whenever the test condition falls, then it goes out of the loop. So this is the loop statement which is entry controlled. As the name implies, the condition will be checked at the entry point, and if it is true, then body of the loop is executed repeatedly. So first time the body of the loop executed, then again check the condition, then again body of the loop executed, then again condition check. If it is true, then execute this repeatedly. This flow like it repeatedly executes, and if it is false, then it goes out of the loop. So this is entry controlled loop. And next we can see what do you mean by exit controlled loop. We can see what is that. In exit controlled loop, as the name implies, the control conditions are tested at the end of the body of the loop. Okay, control conditions are tested at the end of the body of the loop. So we have already said that the loop statements consist of two segments. They are control statement and body of the loop. So in the case of entry controlled loop, the condition will be checked at the entry point, but in the case of exit controlled loop, the condition will be checked at the exit of the loop. Okay, exit point of the body of the loop, that means at the end of the body of the loop. Therefore the body of the loop is executed unconditionally for the first time. So that what is mean by that? Even the condition is false, then also it will be executed at least one time. The body of the loop will be executed in the case of exit controlled loop. That is the difference. So exit control loop is also known as post test loop. So here the control conditions are tested at the end of the body of the loop. So body of the loop will be executed at least once in the case of exit controlled loop, because only after that it will check the condition. If it is false, then it does not go to the loop again, then it exit. If it is true, then it continue execution of body of the loop. So the example is do while loop. We can discuss do while loop in the next classes. This is the flowchart diagram for this exit control loop. Here you can see, here this is the entry for the loop. Then loop body will be executed first. So here there is no conditions checking here. So it will enter to the loop and execute the body of the loop, and after that it will check the condition, and if it is true, then again executing the body of the loop and again condition checking. Then if it is true, then repeats this steps, and the test condition, if it is false, then go out of the loop. This is the structure of exit controlled loop. Clear? So this is exit controlled loop. So here you see, first we will not check the condition. Only after executing body of the loop we will check the condition. So first time the control will enter to the body of the loop. Then first time the body of the loop executed, only after that the test condition checked. Okay, so in the case of exit controlled loop, body of the loop will be executed at least once even if the test condition is false. That is the difference. Okay, so that is exit controlled loop. So what we have discussed, in the case of looping statements, some set of statements has to be repeated. Okay, repeatedly executed. So there are mainly two types of looping statements: entry controlled loop and exit controlled loop. In entry controlled loop, the condition will be checked at the beginning of the body of the loop. Okay, and in the case of exit controlled loop, the condition will be checked only after the end of the body of the loop. So what is the difference? In the case of entry controlled loop, the body of the loop will be executed even only if the condition is true. Okay, if the condition is false, then it will not execute. Then next one, in the case of exit controlled loop, even if the condition is false, first time the body of the loop will be executed, because only after executing the body of the loop, condition will be checked. Okay, so that is happening in the case of exit controlled loop. So entry controlled loop examples are while loop and for loop. In the case of exit controlled loop, the example is do while loop. We can see the differences in the next class between this while, do while, then for loops in the next classes. That's all about looping statements. Thank you.